Hello everyone, this is Vinay here from Learn Coding with Vinay, and we are into the video number 2 of our series where we are going over two most important topic of SQL, which are store procedures and joins. Right. So in the previous video we went over tables, and in this video we will create our first store procedures. Right. So let's start with get all customers. This will be very easy, a store procedure. Let me take you to the our customer table, right? So there can be a business scenario where actually maybe the help desk team or a marketing team, they need all customer details, right? They need a dump of all customer. So we need to create that store procedure so that it can be used in multiple programs, and in multiple system it can be used for the to serve multiple purposes, right? So we need to create that store procedure. So let's try with creating the store procedure. The syntax is create procedure. We will use the default schema name dot, I would say, USP get all customers. Then there is actually list of parameters, but here currently we are not planning to have any parameter, so let's avoid it begin end, and then the our select star statement. Let me take this. Right, so let's create this store procedure. Okay, there is an error because we'll have to say as. Okay, great. Now let's try to execute this. Get all customer. Okay, so it is working fine. It is giving us the entire customer list, right? But let's improve the store procedure a little bit from a coding perspective. From the base coding practices for SQL, and also make it more usable in multiple scenarios, right? So let's say first thing, if you see, or if we go to messages, it says a 7 rows count. So ideally when we are dealing with store procedure, it is always good practice to set no count on in the store procedure so that we don't get this message, right? So we can save basically some traffic over the wire, and that's the usual practice people follow, right? So this is good. Now another good thing that we should do is to remove this select star, because whenever you are returning a result set, make sure you are not using select star, because select star does not guarantee this sequence of the columns, right? Here ID, name, email, mobile address is active, right? It may change in case someone has deleted one column and re-added that column again. So in that case the result set would not be the same as this one, although the data would be probably same, but the sequence of column will not be the same. So it is always better to use all column names over here. And another practice says that always use multi-line queries. So let me do that. Let me quickly grab the column names I already have. Okay, so let me alter this procedure. Okay, it said not addresses, it's just the address. Okay, great. Let me run this and see, it is the same, and we don't see now the number of rows written message, right? So that is one thing. Second thing is we made it multi-line, and third thing is we use the column names explicitly, right? So this is the best practice while writing any store procedure that returns the result set, right? One example. Now if you closely observe this example, it is giving the entire dump of the customer table, right? So what if we just want, you know at some place we just want active customer, at some place we just need inactive customer, right? So maybe sales team or marketing team want to reach out to inactive customer, maybe send them, or on call them, or calling them, give them some promotional offers or something like this, those scenarios. So this returning all data will not make sense, right? So to make this SP usable at multiple module, at multiple places, what we can do, we can pass an input parameter over here, that whatever input parameter is passed, based on that it will return the result set. So let me say is active is let me add is active as boolean parameter. Let me add where condition here, is active is equal to is active, right? And let me run this. Okay, so now if I pass 1, it will give me only active records. If I pass 0, it will give me only inactive records, right? Now some place you may need both, right? So what should we do? So in that case, what should we do? Just mark this as an optional parameter, right? And just enhance this where condition using coalesce. Coalesce will replace the not null parameter with the not null value, right? So if this parameter is null, then we should just have it the column name only. So ideally this will become, in case we are passing null, so what this will become? This will become is active is equal to is active, basically column value is equal to column value, which will create a dummy condition like 1 equal to 1 or something. So this will be always true. So let's go, let's me run this, now. Also this is an example of optional parameter. So now let's say if I pass 1, so I have only active user. If I pass 0, I have inactive users. If I pass nothing, let's see what is happening, and then I have both active and inactive, right? So now this SP can be used as multiple places, wherever active only customers are needed, wherever inactive customers are needed, or wherever, wherever in the system there are there is a need of getting all customers irrespective of they are active or inactive, right? So to summarize what we see in this video, we saw a very basic example of get customer. We started with no parameter, then we added one parameter, then we made that parameter optional, right? And so that we made the SP usable at multiple modules, in multiple modules, right? We also followed best practices like set no count on, right? Writing multi-line queries and always specify the column name, avoided select star, and parameterize where condition, right? So these are part of good practices that we follow. Now what is a bad practice example? Let me tell you that also, you know so a bad practice, is a one where we are using dynamic SQL. So in, if you are a SQL developer and if you are working as a purely T SQL, right, then you should try to avoid using dynamic SQL. Now what is dynamic SQL? Let's look at this example, right? So let me run this. Okay, exactly. Okay, let me take this inside this SP only, right? So this is good. Let me comment this out. Let me make it over here. Let me also comment this. Let this be. So declare SQL, then this is what we are doing. Now ultimately this will also serve the same purpose. Let me see. Okay, data type issue. I think this has to be cast this as where care. Okay, it got executed. Let me run this, right? So it is working. Even if I pass 0, it will work, right? But this is an example of bad coding, and you should never use dynamic SQL. So this is what we call dynamic SQL, right? You should never use it unless it is really 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 required. Keep dynamic SQL as your last option whenever you are working on any solution. Keep it as your last option in SQL, right? So ideally it should be this only. Let me make it to original one. Great. Let me just run this, right? Yeah, so it is working fine. So we created our first store procedure. We smartly coded in like that way that it can be used at multiple places, and we followed the base practice also. Which one? That setting no count on, we avoided using select star. Instead of that we used dedicated column names like this, and we used and we avoided dynamic SQL, right? We used parameterized where condition, right? This is what one should do while working on any SQL script or stored procedure or anything, right? So that's it in this video. We will see in the next video we will go over insert and update stored procedure of customer table, right? So we will write a stored procedure that inserts the data and update the data in the customer table, right? So thanks for watching this video and see you in the next video.